Let's start the podcast. Hello out there, world. Welcome to another episode of Off the Cliff Sports. I'm your host, of course, Cliff Jags. The 2019 NFL draft has kicked off and we're a few rounds in. Some interesting picks in the first round. Get to that a little later in the show. I want to first come on and apologize to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I said last week they didn't accomplish anything in the NHL, and some of my hockey experts advised me that they did win the regular season trophy. They have a trophy for the regular season, and the Tampa Bay Lightning did win that. So I want to apologize to them for saying they didn't accomplish anything. They were the regular season champs. Let's just put it that way. Congratulations for being the regular season champ and watching the rest of the teams that are still competing. All right, I'm done with that. I want to thank all my fans out there. I appreciate you guys for listening in. Remember, Instagram, Twitter, you can reach me. All the episodes are out there on Podbean. Also, you can go to YouTube and check out the episodes as well. You got to make sure you're liking my pages and comment on the pages. We still have a giveaway coming up also, so don't forget the giveaway. 65 followers on Instagram, 65 followers on Twitter. Someone's going to win on both of those platforms. It's there for the taking. I still haven't spent it yet. I'm waiting to spend it though. NFL. So just a quick rundown. We'll talk a little more about the NFL draft later, but of course, if you don't already know, Kyler Murray was chosen number 1 in the draft. Nick Bosa was chosen number 2 as expected. The Jets, who I thought were going to make a sleeper pick, they went ahead and went with the sure thing, and Quentin Williams, who I think he's going to be a stud. Jon Gruden and the Raiders at number 4. That was interesting. They chose Clelin Ferrell out of Clemson, defensive end. I'm still trying to remember Mr. Ferrell from the championship game. I just don't remember him coming off the screen. I know their defense was pretty dominant over Alabama in that game, but I just don't remember. But a lot of the experts, not us Everyday Joes, Everyday James, and myself, not us, but the experts had Mr. Ferrell going in the late 20s. But hey, congratulations, Mr. Ferrell, on getting picked top 5. The Tampa Bay Bucks went with Devin White, monster inside linebacker from LSU, as expected. So we'll talk more about the draft, try to get some opinions from some of the callers, see what they think about what's went on so far in the draft. The first 3 rounds, which are the important rounds if you ask most people. But you do find those diamond in the roughs on Saturday, so it is worth trying to check out. You may not watch the whole thing, but glance over here and there to see who's been picked, especially your team. My team, the Broncos, we chose a tight end after we traded back in the draft. We didn't pick up Dwayne Haskins. I'm a little upset about that, but hey, we didn't even pick up Drew Lock. I guess John Elway has a plan. Don't draft a quarterback because I don't do a good job of it. Hey, if that's the plan, John, not bad. Not bad at all. We're going to come back and we're going to talk, of course, NBA playoffs and some NHL playoffs. So stick with us on Off the Cliff Sports, episode 16. We in this place. Talk to you in a moment. Off the Cliff Sports. You can follow us on Twitter at Cliff_sports. You can also follow us on Instagram, Off the Cliff_sports. A lot of good stuff out there. Let's get into the NBA playoffs. The Oklahoma City Thunder went out in 5 games to the Trailblazers. And of course, blame Russ is in full effect. It's all Russell Westbrook's fault. He's the only player on their team. That's what everybody says. So he's the guy they're going to blame. So I guess Paul George, Schroeder, Steven Adams, if y'all found him, none of the rest of the guys played. I'm a Westbrook fan, so it's kind of hard hearing blame Westbrook for everything. A guy that averaged a triple double 3 straight seasons, but that's the narrative that Westbrook sucks and Dame Lillard is great. Which Dame Lillard balled out this series, no doubt about it. The funny thing is Russell didn't guard Dame that much, but it's still blame Russ and make a statue of Dame Lillard. He did make an awesome shot to close the game. I don't lie. A 50-point game with a game-winning three-pointer from almost half court. That was awesome. But Oklahoma City got to figure out some things. I've told people a long time ago, Billy Donovan is not the coach of that team. One, he's a college coach. And two, I don't think the players listen to him. I don't think he gets to the players like what they need, especially Russell Westbrook. Russell needs a tough-nosed coach that's going to get in his face and they're going to go at it blow for blow. Somebody that he's going to respect. And I don't think Billy Donovan is that guy. I don't think Paul George respects Donovan, but he's a little quieter than Russell in the way Russell goes about things. And of course, most players are going to follow their leader, and their leader is the star of the team. Oklahoma City has to get shooters. They need at least 2 shooters coming out of this offseason, or there'll probably be another low playoff seeded team and out in the first round. With Russell and Paul George, if they can just add 2 shooters, something like maybe a 3-and-D guy and then 1 marksman, this team will be totally different. The way Jeremy Grant has came on as a player, I think a couple of those young guys on the bench could help us well. Or if they re-sign Nerlens Noel, they have something. In my notes, I put the Golden State Warriors are looking just fine without DeMarcus Cousins. But after I wrote this in my notes, they lost the second game to the Los Angeles Clippers. Why and how, I don't know because I didn't watch it. I went to bed. Those West Coast games get me some nights. But 2 losses to the Clippers in the first round, they must be really bored. And somebody better wake them up and let them know, hey, we got to get to 2 more rounds before we even get to the final to complete our three-peat. I still think Golden State is the best team in the playoffs, and I don't think it's really close. Having 2 of the top 5, top 8 players in the NBA, and then having 2 other complementary players that would start on any team in the NBA is a lot to overcome. Everybody's saying Houston is playing well. Houston is a 3-point shooting team, and they have a top 5 player on their team. I don't think James Harden and his firepower can handle Golden State and their firepower. Now, it may go 6, it might even go 7 games, but I think at the end, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, the defense of Draymond Green is just going to be better than what Houston can throw out there. I don't have faith in the role players for Houston. But I'm just Cliff Jacks. I could be wrong. So, guess we'll find out as time goes on. And if by this podcast, Golden State has closed out the Clippers. That's a big if. On the eastern side of the playoffs, the top 4 seeds advanced as expected. The Milwaukee Bucks look really strong. Giannis Antetokounmpo has those boys playing ball. They're shooting the ball well. They're playing solid defense. Chris Middleton, all-star from this year, is looking really good out there as a second option. And then Robin Lopez, or Brook Lopez, one of those 2 brothers, is out there shooting 3-pointers. I think it's Brook Lopez. I'm sorry, Lopez brothers. He's shooting 3s. He's shooting it at a high percentage. But then on the defensive end, he's able to disrupt the paint. The Bucks look real good right now. I see them beating the Celtics. I think that series. I actually want to say that's a 5 game series. Honestly, I think the Bucks are that strong. Maybe 6, but if you ask me my pick, I'm gonna put it Bucks in 5. Philadelphia flexed its muscles against the Brooklyn Nets, if that's what you want to call it. I saw a lot of Bush League plays out there in that game. Embiid try to act like he's not an instigator, but he is. Jimmy Butler, Mr. Tough Guy. Ben Simmons, the guy that can't shoot outside of 8 feet. I'm not really a Philly fan at all. They are very arrogant. I don't have any problem with that because sometimes I feel I'm the same way. But I just don't like their team makeup. And I think the lack of actual sharpshooters, because they traded a lot of them, all they have is J.J. Redick. I think that might affect them later in the playoffs because the longer you go in the playoffs, the smarter the coaching is. The coaching is going to start saying, hey, don't let him drive. He going to have to shoot to beat us. And that's Ben Simmons we're talking about. I think that liability is going to start rearing its head. He tries to drive and he tries to get on the offensive board to make up for the lack of no shooting. It's not even none. It's no shooting. He don't shoot. He shoots in practice and warm-ups. That's ridiculous. So we'll see how they match up in this second round against Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors. Those baby dinosaurs are looking good, and that is the team I actually picked to go to the finals, but we'll see how things go with the Sixers. I have the Toronto winning in 6. I think this game. I think Philly will end up getting 2 games because I just see MB is going to have one of those games 30, 15, 30, 20 probably. And I see Jimmy Butler coming in and helping them get another game, him and J.J. Redick possibly. But I'll go 6 on that one just cause Philly up and down. I don't know which Philly team's going to show. But I think Toronto will have control of the series. I might be wrong. That may be another 5 game series also. NHL playoffs is going on, of course, as well. We're into the second round of the NHL playoffs. Both top seeds, Calgary and Tampa Bay, are both out. Vacation time for them and their families. Now it's all about who is the team to beat. The defending champs from last year, the Capitals, are out as well. So there will be a new Stanley Cup champ this year. And I don't really know who it is. My hometown Dallas Stars are in the playoffs, and right now they're down 1-0 in the second round on the road playing the St. Louis Blues. But I think they'll be able to rebound. They have some toughness on that team that I didn't think they have, so they just got to realize, hey, we got to give it our all so we can finish it up. But I don't know who's going to win this series or these series coming up. We're going to dig a little more into it, though. And you guys tell me out there, all my hockey fans. So, also, the Boston Bruins are up 1-0 over the Columbus Blue Jackets. And in the other 2 games, you got the New York Islanders going up against the Hurricanes of Carolina and the Colorado Avalanche and the San Jose Sharks. So those are your 4 matchups for the second round of the NHL playoffs. If you go by record, the Boston Bruins look like they're the team to beat if you just went by record. But records don't mean anything, as the Tampa Bay Lightning showed us. Really, I don't know a lot about who's going to do this. I know Colorado has had a championship pedigree, so that's a very possibility. But I think the New York Islanders are on a hot streak right now. That's your NHL coverage. It's getting down to the wire. NHL playoffs, NBA playoffs. Now we're really seeing what teams are hungry and what teams are not. We're going to come back after a short break with the top of the Cliff segment. Don't go anywhere. Off the Cliff Sports, Cliff Jacks, Coming back at you. It's time for that segment we call Top of the Cliff. I had the intentions of coming in and totally bashing Russell Westbrook. Now, everybody knows Russell is my favorite NBA player, so it's kind of really hard to put him in this situation, but I am going to invite Russell as part of the Top of the Cliff segment. I want Russell to come up to the top of the cliff with me. And it's not because of his play, it's not because of the energy he provides, not because of all the shots he missed. There are a lot of times I look at the game and I watch the games, and it seems like Russell isn't hustling. He gives mad energy, don't get me wrong, but there are some plays where he's trailing the play, the other team ends up getting a three, or the other team gets a layup, and you look and he's at the other end. And a lot of times it's because he wants to complain about not getting a foul call. I need Russell to toughen up in that sense of the nature and stop complaining as much and keep the energy with the positive vibes, as P. Diddy says, positive vibes only. Russell, please join me on the top of the cliff. But on your way, I want you to stop by and bring the New York Giants football organization with you. Bring their leadership with you to the top of the cliff, because the Giants just can't get it right. They drafted a quarterback they could have got in the second round with the 6th pick in the NBA draft. And I think mainly because the coach of this quarterback was also the coach of one of the Manning boys and the offensive coordinator for the other Manning boy. And I definitely believe that the Manning family had a lot to do with this pick. Daniel Jones is not the 6th best player in the draft. He's not going to be a transcendent quarterback for the Giants. He's definitely not better than Dwayne Haskins or, for that matter, Drew Lock. So, Giants leadership, please come to the top of the cliff. And like I tell everybody when you get to the top of the cliff, I can't tell you what to do when you get there, but just please join me. So, Russell Westbrook, it's hard to say that, but you and the New York Giants football organization, please join me on the top of the cliff. Tough day when your favorite player is in a losing situation. I just don't know what to do. Giants, y'all got a lot of things to think about. You traded away one of your best defensive players. Then you traded away one of the top 5 wide receivers in the NFL. And you blame them for the reason your team sucks. But you kept an aging quarterback. He has 2 Super Bowl rings, whoop-de-doo. But he's aging, and when he's playing, you can tell he really is free throwing. He's out there just doing it his way, freestyling, I guess you would say. Throws a lot of interceptions, but you guys deal with it. So once you guys get fired, you'll know why. New York Giants, Russell Westbrook, top of the cliff time for you guys. We're going to come back and talk about the NFL draft, folks. First 3 rounds are done. Some good drafts, some bad picks by some teams, better pick by other teams. We're going to talk a little more about it when we get back on Off the Cliff Sports. Thank you for listening. Be back in a moment. You're listening to Off the Cliff Sports. I want to give a quick shout out to Ink Fame Clothing Company. You can go to their website, inkfameclothingcompany.com. A lot of nice gear from an independent owner, young guy who started his own clothing line, and he has some nice things. Check it out. Ink Fame Clothing Company. Let's get into some of the draft here. I got a message from Kenny from Brooklyn. Kenny is a Jets fan, and he was very pleased with them drafting Mr. Williams in the first round with that 3rd pick. So he thinks that's going to help his team. He actually thinks that Williams will be an actual Pro Bowl style player, which I think he does have those tools. As long as he can grasp some of the concepts, playing from Alabama pretty much prepared him to be a star. So I think he is going to be right in thinking that Mr. Williams is going to be a good Pro Bowl pick. We had some interesting first round picks also. The first interesting pick, of course, was the Oakland Raiders and them drafting Colin Farrell with the fourth pick in the draft. That shocked a lot of people. They definitely could have got him further down in the draft. Of course, the Giants drafted Daniel Jones, quarterback for Duke, with the sixth pick. He's a second round talent. You also had some solid picks. Devin Pittsburgh traded up to get Devin Bush, inside linebacker, which that's going to turn out to be a pretty good move for them. Although I was thinking they might try to make a splash with another wide receiver because they kind of need depth at receiver. They have a running back, have some tight ends, but making that defense stronger, there's no problem with that. I do think Buffalo has a monster in Ed Oliver. Ed Oliver is one of my favorite players in the draft. I don't think he had a good year last year. I think a little conflict between him and the coach. He was a little injured, and I think the injury wasn't as bad as it seemed, but I think they were playing it cautious. I think Ed Oliver is going to be a stud. You also had Alabama come back. Oh, the Raiders come back around later in the first round and got Josh Jacobs running back for Alabama, which can't complain about that. Jacobs is a strong running back. He's stocky. He can catch out the backfield. Think that's a win for him. So I have to say, out of the three picks, Gruden, he actually got players from those Power Five conferences. So all the players have been playing in what we call the fire, that real good football. Can't complain too much. I think the Redskins won the first round. Washington got Dwayne Haskins with the number 15th pick in the draft, so they have a quarterback for the future. Then they turned around and made a trade and came up and got Montez Sweat from Mississippi State. Monster of a defensive end. He does have, they say, a possible heart condition. If that doesn't stop him, big pickup for Washington. So I actually think they won the first round of the NFL draft, hands down. The Patriots got the young receiver from Arizona State. That boy, he's 6'2", he's big, good hands. They need some receiving help with Rob Gronkowski retiring, so I think that's going to work out for them as long as he can keep up with that playbook. I think Brady can make almost anybody a star. We've seen that over the years. Patriots fan or not, Brady does what he do. Draft results. My buddy Mo sent a message in. He's a Tampa Bay Buccaneer fan, and he's very happy with Devin White, and he's happy that the Bucs are going heavy with defense early in the draft here. I mean, they have offensive weapons and firepower, we know. Although, personally, I don't know if Jameis is the guy. Quarterback should have been their choice. A couple of my Cowboy fans, they're kind of on the fence with the Cowboy picks. It looks like the Cowboys is picking for the future. They got a Central Florida defensive tackle. Then they turned around and got Conor McGregor, offensive lineman out of Penn State, which their offensive line is pretty solid. So are they going to move him maybe to right guard possibly? I mean, there's no room at left tackle, center, right tackle rather. So kind of strange. The Cowboys to me need firepower. They need to be able to hit big plays because if you got to depend on just grinding with Zeke, that's not going to get it in today's NFL. And definitely they should know that by now. But hey, Stephen Jones, Jerry Jones, I think they got their plan and they're going to try their best to stick with it, whether it works or not. I personally, my team, my Broncos, we got a couple linemen. So, I mean, we have a nose tackle. So far, I think they're pretty decent picks. I'm not going to say great picks. John Elway did get a quarterback. I thought our plan was not to draft a quarterback. That way we know we should succeed. But he went ahead in the second round and picked up Drew Lock out of Missouri. Got an offensive tackle out of Kansas State. And we got the tight end out of Iowa. So you got some boys from the central part of the country. So I would think they're a little hard nosed, tough guys. So maybe that'll help out in Mile High. I wish them the best though. We got to get back on the winning track. We definitely got what we need. Now we just got to pick up a couple skill position players. I think my Broncos would have a successful draft. Right now I'm gonna give them a B. And that could change to a C, or it could go to an A, just depending on what we get at the end of the draft here. But right now, I'll give them a B, B minus. I really, like I told everybody, unfortunately, I like Washington so far. I think they're having a solid draft, hands down. And I think they're going to win it. So far, Cleveland is having a pretty good draft as well. The first 3 rounds, they're going heavy defense. I mean, we know what they got on offense. No, they got Odell Beckham and Jarvis Landry, Baker Mayfield's team now. Got a solid running back. Picked up Kareem Hunt, who's got to be suspended for 8 games, but he'll be back. So, not bad going up there in Cleveland. Of course, the Cardinals got Kyler Murray with that first pick in the draft, and they went and got them some defensive players. I think we're going to see what Cliff Kingsbury can do. He's an offensive mind. We'll see how things work on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't have faith. He never had a winning season in college, so I don't see why people think things are going to change in the pros. But 2 different games. College football is way different than professional. So, I mean, hey, you might. Those stingy New England Patriots. It's like they keep winning somehow. They have about 10 picks in this draft. They've already picked 5 times in the first 3 rounds. They have the receiver, Neil Harry at Arizona State. Then they came back and got a cornerback from Vanderbilt. Defensive end from Michigan. Damon Harris, running back from Alabama, who I think is pretty good. And an offensive tackle out of West Virginia. All players out of the Big 5 conferences. So we see how things go in New England. And they still have about 7 picks left in the draft. That's a lot. A lot of picks for Bill Belichick to make things happen. So everything's going is according to plan for most teams, I think. I think some teams are going on a whim. Some teams have a plan and they're trying to stick with it. Also, not in the draft, but very related, the Miami Dolphins and their new head coach, Mr. Flores, pulled off a trade for Josh Rosen. So Josh is no longer Arizona Cardinal. He's going to Miami, Florida, to play for the Fins. So it's safe to say Josh Rosen is going to have back-to-back losing seasons. But I think this Miami thing could be good for him. I think Josh Rosen is a solid quarterback. I think he's going to have a decent NFL career. I'm not going to say great, but I think he's going to have a decent career, which I think the same for Sam Darnold. I think Darnold was the best quarterback coming out that draft. Only time will tell. Hopefully up there in New York he can get things working with the Jets. Big trades, lots of draft left. There's more drafting over the weekend. Next week's show, I'm going to try to have a couple people come on and analyze the draft, giving their opinions of what they think the best 3-4 teams, the worst 3-4 teams from the draft. So look forward for that next week on the draft. We'll be back with you on Off the Cliff Sports. Don't go anywhere. Let's get into some quick takes for you here on Off the Cliff Sports. We'll start out with some bad news. Tiger Woods is not going to play in the upcoming Wells Fargo golf tournament next week. I know we all want us some Tiger in our life. I do too. But not this time. The Virginia men's basketball team, coming off their national championship win, will decline any offers to visit the White House. That's a team decision. Looks like they have some players going to the NBA and some other players that are graduating, so players might be all over the place. And it also could be that they don't want fast food as their White House meal. That might be the number one reason. Staying with basketball, I tweeted something the other day that I would like to reiterate. There's been a lot of Russell Westbrook bashing going on this week since the Thunder got put out of the NBA playoffs, and of course everybody blames Russ. But what I tweeted the other week was the fact that if your name is not LeBron James, if your name is not Kevin Durant, and if your name is not Stephen Curry, you probably are not going to be winning any NBA titles. While those three players are in the NBA, especially with any two of them on the same team, the chances of someone outside of those three guys winning a title is slim to none. So there's a lot of hate and talk about Russell Westbrook is not a winner. He's not going to ever be able to win a championship. Just like when Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen led the Bulls to 6 titles in 8 years, they stopped a lot of great players from winning titles. And I think the same thing is going on right now with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and the monster of a team Steph Curry had in Golden State before Kevin Durant joined the team. But those type of players, they're winning titles. Outside of that, I don't see it happening. And if it does happen, it'll be like the Mavericks. The Mavericks caught a nice wave, and the Dallas Mavericks got that 2011 title. But you saw what happened after that. LeBron, Dwayne Wade, and them, they went and got 2 more back to back. That's the entire time frame we are in right now. So until LeBron retires, if Kevin Durant goes out on his own, those are the 3 players that you're going to see hoisting trophies for the next 5 years, I would say. Anybody else are probably going to be trophyless unless they start teaming up and making super teams. As long as Giannis is by himself, I don't think he can do it. Russell and Paul George, I think they could, but they don't have the pieces around them. James Harden and Chris Paul, we're going to see what they're made of here in the second round because they get Golden State, so we'll see how things work out. But right now, all the Russell bashing, I think we should find other topics to talk about because the man goes out there and plays hard. I think personally, I want him to focus sometime that I see he gives up on some plays. He still plays hard, but there are plays I could tell he's not in tune. Those are my quick takes. If you have any quick takes you would like me to discuss, just reach out to me and we definitely try to get them onto the show. One last quick take, of course. The Tampa Bay Rays are leading the American League East in baseball. Got a couple game leads on the Yankees, but it's good to see Tampa Bay, who for a while has been bottom dwellers for the last few years. Good to see them up there. The Seattle Mariners are leading the West in the AL, surprisingly. And the Minnesota Twins are leading the Central Division. Or actually, they're tied with the Cleveland Indians. Over in the National League, those New York Mets, I'm proud of you boys. They're tied up top with the Philadelphia Phillies, who have one of the richest men in baseball on their team. The Cardinals, the good normal teams, the Cardinals and the Cubs are up at the top of the Central. Milwaukee's only 2.5 back, so that's going to be the Central and the National League is going to be a race this year. I think it's like 3-4 good teams. And the Dodgers is winning the West, and that's probably what's going to happen. Magic Johnson has a team that can win. It's just not basketball. We're going to come back, guys, and we're going to get your quote of the day in. We're going to get you out of here. Next week, we'll have a bigger episode because we got a lot of draft talk to review and analyze. Everyday Joes, Everyday James, and your boy, Cliff Jacks. We're going to review that. Be back with your quote of the day. In honor of the playoffs and some teams winning, some teams losing, I'm going to give you a quote today from Knute Rockne. Knute said, "Show me a gracious loser, and I'll show you a failure." One more time. Show me a gracious loser, and I'll show you a failure. So pretty much, if you're happy when you lose, that means there's a reason for you losing. Great quote by Knute Rockne. Guys, it's been great talking to you on Off the Cliff Sports. Please join us again next week for our NFL draft analysis show. Until then, Cliff Jacks, Off the Cliff Sports. Peace.